You're visiting Singapore soon, or perhaps you have been staying here for a while and you want to venture beyond the Tian Tian chicken rice, jumbo chili crab, and Ya Kun toast into the spots that the locals love, food that Singaporeans crave. If that is the case, let me introduce you to the best noodle dish in Singapore, Chomp.
Sorry, who are you and why should we listen to you?
I'm Eldrick. I've stayed in Singapore all my life. Here are my credentials. I've got this and this and this. Plastic bags of plastic bags folded into triangles. Now that that's out of the way, we are in West Coast at Ji Speciality Noodle for, like I said, Chomp Mee. Chomp Mee, or minced meat noodle, is a dish where noodles are typically tossed with sambal, lard, soy sauce, and vinegar, and then topped with minced meat, braised mushrooms, and pig liver. However, Chomp Mee is so celebrated in Singapore that while the typical Chomp Mee might look like this, all of the top Chomp Mees have their own look. Here at Ji, they opt for what I think is a cleaner profile. So on the menu, there are a lot of variations of this dish, but the thing that you should focus on are the handmade stuff, like the prawn paste, the Teochew dumplings, and the fish dumplings. Because you will get the best thing about this place, whatever you order, which are these really beautiful noodles. I mean, the texture is visible. It's been a while since I came back here. I'm so excited. From a very biased Singaporean's point of view, against any noodle dish in the world, I'll pick Chomp Mee. This thick, chewy, bouncy texture of the noodles, paired with a simple but very practical sauce. You want heat, you want savouriness, you want acidity. You use the fat to carry the flavour and cling onto the noodles. I ride with Chomp Mee any day. The idea is to toggle between the heavier noodles and the soup to cleanse your palate, but I went a bit too hard. Also, you can get additional noodles at no charge. I highly recommend you do that. This is the normal portion, and I wanted a smaller portion because I have a lot of sides to work with. So let's try the soup. We start with the Teochew dumpling. You know how with dumpling, you can always tell if it's homemade or store-bought. With store-bought ones, the seasoning profile is always the same. They always had the same ingredients and almost the same flavor enhancers. With homemade dumplings, 1,000 dumplings will taste 1,000 ways, because every household will have their own way of seasoning it. Some people like the cooking wine, Shaoxing wine, Huadiao wine a lot. Some people like the spices more, but you can always tell. And this is without a doubt their own dumplings. To me, it's not so much about it going crazy on your palate, but it really tastes like if you were to go to a friend's house and the grandmother is making dumplings in the kitchen. They ask if you ate, they pop two into the boiling water, and this is what it tastes like. And the soup has that, but I ran out of my word limit. I did a series last year where I spent 3 months just looking for the best version of this dish, and Ji is undeniably the best one. Hey, LJ, I thought... Anyway, now that we had the best noodle dish in Singapore, it's time to move on to the second best. We are now at Jie at Ang Mo Kio for the second best noodle dish in Singapore, Hokkien Mee. Hokkien Mee is a prawn noodle dish where yellow noodles and rice noodles are first fried with eggs and garlic and then dunked with prawn broth. A lid is closed on the wok and the noodles are forced to absorb the prawn broth until they saturate. The result is this ultra flavorful gooey noodles, where the texture is a combination of the emulsification of the pork lard and the gelatinization of the starch from the rice noodles. Not that different from pasta. You can also see some burnt bits, which I can monologue about, but I really can't wait. I want to get a good bite. Oh my goodness. The proper way to eat Hokkien Mee is definitely to eat the original flavor first, and then as the flavors stack up and it gets a little bit too much, you mix in the chili and the lime. There are two kinds of chilies for Hokkien Mee. One is a sweeter kind, and the other kind is what we have here, a sour, very spicy kind. The idea is simple. You want to cut through the richness, but I find with the best Hokkien Mees, the original flavor is so good because of the prawn broth that I don't feel like using the chili and the lime. It's good, no doubt, to have that heat of spiciness and acidity, but you will flatten out all the other flavors. A lot of things become more forgivable once you have added these two. I maintain that Hokkien Mee is one of the best noodle dish in Singapore, the most culinarily competitive. I feel like pound for pound, you put this up against a pasta dish, this does not lose. The amount and flavor and complexity of the recipe is amazing. I regret that I ordered the $6 version. I need the 8 or the 10. What was I thinking? Damn it. And now they have already closed for the afternoon break. As with most of the dishes in this video, I've done a whole series on them, meaning I've spent 3 months just looking for the best version, and Atia is no doubt the best in Singapore. Alright, more good food to eat. For our next stop, we are at Loyang Wy for what is probably the 3rd best prawn noodles in Singapore. You might be asking, where in the Narnia are we, Eldrick? We are very close to Changi Airport. Anyway, we are here for prawn noodles, which in Singapore you can order a dry or soup version. I like the dry one because I find that you can have the best of both worlds. A noodle dish tossed with sambal, large shallots, and optionally, or rather not really optionally, you need to add this chili powder. Sometimes the noodles might come a little bit too dry. That's where you do this. Just add about 1 tablespoon, 1.5 tablespoon of soup to lubricate everything. And then it also comes with a soup. In my case, comes with 5 XL prawns. I went with the XL version. So the whole thing came up to $14.30. I'm so excited. It's been a while since I had this. And then you quench it with the soup. I have said about 20,000 words about this dish in the past few months. How I know it's 20,000? Because I do my own subtitling. And this place just portrays the beauty of this dish, of each component so well. Without repeating the 20,000 words, the soup with the orange top note, 70% prawn, 30% support, the extremely well seasoned noodles, balance of shallots, sambal, the chili powder, and lard, topped with a few drizzles of the prawn soup. Each side can be a dish on its own, but together they are so complementary. However, I didn't want to do this video. This video is supposed to celebrate all the top places. But I've eaten here, this will be the 4th or 5th time now. Why are the prawns so soft today? They have been either overcooked to hell or the quality is just off today. Look at this. Notice how little strength I'm putting in. This would have been one of the bottom 3 prawns of the series. I'm sorry to be the cold blanket on a video that is supposed to celebrate Singaporean food, but you see, it's not just the haters that think Eldrick's recommendations very overrated. Even Eldrick also thinks so. So I think it's a good time for a coffee break. For our 4th spot, this is something that I always miss when I'm away from home, and that is our humble Nanyang Kopi black coffee. The coffee that we have here is traditionally brewed with Robusta beans, but the catch is the coffee bean is first roasted with either butter or margarine and sugar. This gives the coffee a waxy, almost oily sheen to it, and also some body. You can get a pretty decent cup of kopi all over the island, but one place that I think is stellar right now is Generation Coffee Roasters. They have a few outlets. We are here at Homeling Complex, home to many other delicious food as well if you want to eat around. I got their kopi and kopi pig. I know you probably had Toast Box or Ya Kun written down in your list, and while those are very mainstream, I think they're still good. But if you want something a little bit off the beaten track, I'll recommend this. And it's time for this year's Honorary Mention. The most popular dish in Singapore by far. Nope, not chicken rice. This is much more popular than chicken rice. In fact, I would say this outsells chicken rice 5 plates to 1 on a daily basis. Hello, 一包。这个，那个，这个，那个。好了 ，Thank you. You said you wanted what the locals eat at the start of the video, right? This is the top-selling dish in Singapore since 1965. This is Cai Fan, or economy rice. A Cai Fan stall looks like this. There's a spread of home-cooked recipes. You start by letting them know if you are having your meal here or taking away, and the number of plates that you're ordering. Then we move on to the spread. Most of these dishes are catered to a public palate, so you don't have to be worried of finding anything too spicy or too left-field here. If you gave a homesick Singaporean this with the plastic bag and the styrofoam box, I promise you, they will break down and cry. Even those who are away from home right now watching from Canada or Australia, both their eyes and mouth are watering. I'm not gonna spoon feed you a specific Cai Fan to try. I want you to keep an eye out when you're in Singapore how many Cai Fan stalls there are, so you understand that it's no exaggeration that this outsells the chicken rice. Which brings us to the final spot of the video. It's strange that there isn't a name for this meal, and yet most Singaporeans will have had this before. It was even featured in Crazy Rich Asians. So for this meal, first, you need to be in an S-rank hawker center. No, they are not all the same, like East Coast Lagoon Food Village, or Newton Circus, or where we are at today, Chomp Food Center. Then what you want to do is order a banana leaf roasted seafood. The go-to would be sambal stingray, and then a side dish from a separate stall. This is usually satay or BBQ wings. Pair that with a staple like carrot cake or oyster omelette, and then quintessentially, there's no alternative for this, a big jug of sugarcane juice. Unlike everything else so far in the video, I don't want to jump into the details of each taste. This meal is more about the experience rather than the details. So instead, what I want to do is share the proper way to have this meal. The correct way to go about this is to toggle or to alt-tab. Get a little bit of the stingray and then immediately jump to the chicken wings. Then get a bit of the oyster omelette and then chase it with the sugarcane juice. In that moment, when grabbing the next spoonful of food feels so easy, the feedback on your palate is so immediate, and you're deeply immersed in the experience. You'll see why most people around you are doing the same thing. Generations of Singaporeans have been eating this meal without a name to reference it. But thankfully, the young Singaporeans, the Gen Zs, they have come up with something. On TikTok, they are calling it the flow state. And I like it. I don't think it will catch on. I don't think you can come down to a hawker center and say, hi boss, can I have one flow state? But I see the vision. And with that, that's all I have for you guys this video. I'm gonna work on my... Wait, L3. That's all? Did you really make an entire video on Singaporean food without mentioning chicken rice? Yes, because that journey begins next week in the Best Chicken Rice series. I'll be spending the next 4 months going around Singapore and to different countries to look for the best chicken rice, so subscribe if you want to catch that. But for now, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a delicious time in Singapore. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!